They say at 31,000 feet, you're closer to heaven. But on the Silver Albatross plain, heaven is just a polite word for the long drop into a cold, dark Atlantic Ocean. Tonight, there are only 8 souls on board this flying museum. 8 people sipping vintage wine, wrapped in a silence so thick you could cut it with a galley knife. They think they've left the world behind. They think their secrets are safely buried under 30 years of renamed companies and forged identities. But the thing about secrets, they don't like the thin air. Elias Thorne just found a diary written by a dead man. A man named Julian Granger, who supposedly fell from this very plane 3 decades ago. The killers didn't stay in 1995. They're sitting in the swivel chairs right in front of him. And according to the next page, the murder is scheduled to happen again in exactly 60 minutes. Fasten your seatbelts. This isn't just a cold case, it's a countdown. It started with a simple slip of the hand, a rolling pen, a minor inconvenience. But when Elias reached into the darkness of seat 4A, he didn't find his pen. He found a cold, stiff weight that shouldn't have been there. It was leather, brittle, something left behind, or something waiting to be found. A diary, dated 1995, 3 decades of silence, tucked into a refurbished seat in a plane that was supposed to be scrubbed clean of its history. He looked up. The cabin was the same gold trim, the same velvet. He turned to the pages of the diary. Julian Granger was dead before this plane ever landed in 1995.
Is everything all right? You look startled.
Lady Varga is an aging, glamorous woman who seems to be in the inner circle of the 3 survivors. She is constantly whispering to Dr. Aris and looking nervously at his medical bag.
I am fine, just a bit of turbulence.
Elias Thorne, a man who notices things others don't. Not because he's a detective, but because he's a restorer of rare manuscripts. Elias looks around the cabin. There are only 8 passengers. He notices Lady Eleanor staring out the window with a glass of scotch. In the corner, Dr. Aris is reading a medical journal, but he hasn't turned a page in 20 minutes. Captain Arthur is in the cockpit on the controls and maneuvering the plane through the storm over the Atlantic. The first entry is dated October 26, 1995.
The altitude is 31,000 feet. Arthur pretends he doesn't know about the stone. So is Eleanor and Aris. They think the champagne will dull my senses. By the time we hit the tarmac, I will report these scoundrels to the cops.
Elias realizes the names in the diary, Arthur, Eleanor, Aris, are all here. But they aren't young anymore.
Captain, I found something. A bit of lost luggage from 1995.
1995? That was a lifetime ago, son. Some things are better left under the seat.
The diary mentions a Julian. It says he never made it to the destination.
Julian was a drunk. He fell. The inquiry cleared us all. If I were you, I'd put that book back where the ghosts can find it.
Elias's muscle memory kicks in. He had spoken a few words to the passengers of the plane before he found the diary. But after reading the diary, he started observing them.
The obsessive journalist Marcus Shaw. He's seen throughout the journey taking surreptitious photos of Arthur, Aris, and Eleanor. He's caught lurking near the cockpit with a digital recorder. He is the one who accidentally mentions the 1995 incident in the lounge, watching the passengers' reactions like a hawk. Leo Menzies. He serves everyone their favorite drink without asking. Leo is more than just a flight steward. It seems he knows all the passengers before the flight took off. He has served them before. The co-pilot, Sarah Jenkins. She is seen in the galley arguing with Leo. Later, Leo finds a set of blueprints for the plane's electrical system in her locker, with the emergency lockdown circuit highlighted in red pen. Dr. Aris Vance. He is the intellectual pillar of the 1995 trio. But where Captain Arthur is a crumbling monument of authority, Eris is a nervous wreck held together by tweed and desperation. To me, the doctor is the most dangerous kind of suspect, one who knows exactly how the body works and how to make a mistake look like a natural occurrence. Lady Eleanor Riggs. She is perhaps the most tragic of the trio, a woman who spent 50 years building a golden cage. She doesn't look like old money. She looks like someone who has spent every waking second of the last 5 decades terrified of being recognized as a waitress from East Ham, habitually clears her own glass and stacks it neatly on the table. A heavy pearl necklace serves as her emotional barometer.
Elias wasn't happy how Captain Arthur dismissed his questions on Julian that happened right here in the Silver Albatross 3 decades back. He sniffed sabotage and treachery from this whole episode so far. He decided to nab Dr. Aris and Lady Riggs in the luxury lounge and question them as they look easier to talk to.
The details in the diary are surprisingly detailed about October 26, 1995, but they don't capture the why. What really happened to Julian Granger on that fateful night?
It's a medical banality, Mr. Thorne. Julian was severely intoxicated. His blood alcohol level was, well, let's just say he was barely standing.
Exactly. Tragic, really. He had quite the penchant for the vintage champagne. He simply lost his footing. A clumsy end for a clumsy man.
A clumsy man who managed to open a pressurized cargo hatch by himself? That's a very specific kind of drunk.
The inquiry cleared us of any involvement. Thorne, completely. It's a matter of public record. Unless you're suggesting the Crown's investigators were incompetent.
Please, stop. It's been 30 years. We've almost forgotten the sequence of events entirely. The details are blurred, like a bad dream. One doesn't wish to recount.
Forgotten? Funny. Most people remember exactly where they were when a friend fell to their death. But I suppose champagne does have a way of blurring the memory. They weren't giving me answers. They were giving me a press release. And in my experience, people only forget the truth when the lie is more profitable.
An hour later, the cabin lights flicker and die. A muffled thud echoes from the lounge. When the emergency lights kick in, Lady Eleanor is found slumped over the bar. She isn't dead. She's been sedated. But the diary is gone from Elias's table. Elias corners the group in the lounge. He holds up a small UV light he uses for manuscript authentication.
I noticed something about the diary before it was stolen. The leather was old, yes. It smelled of 1995. But the ink was iron gall. It's what I use for restorations.
What are you implying, Thorne?
Iron gall ink takes decades to turn that specific shade of rusty brown. But this ink? Under UV light, it's still gassing off. It was written no more than 48 hours ago. Someone here wanted to trigger a collective panic. Someone wanted to see who would break first.
Lady Eleanor wakes up and shivers.
It was the stone. It's always been about the stone.
Exactly. The diary wasn't a record of the past. It was a script for the present. The killer from 1995 is here, and the person who wrote this diary is also amongst us. Let's eliminate some people from the suspect list for obvious reasons. Then we can narrow down those who are highly likely behind the theft of the diary and on a mission to threaten the lives of the passengers. Lady Varga is an aging, glamorous socialite who seems primarily interested in what people are wearing and the extent of their wealth. She doesn't trespass beyond that. However, she has taken a keen interest in Lady Eleanor Riggs's pearl necklace and whatever valuables Dr. Aris is carrying in his bag. Leo is performing his duties as a steward. Apart from having worked with these passengers before and knowing their preferences, I haven't seen anything to suggest he's involved. He seems content with his drinks and snacks duty. Sarah Jenkins was seen in the galley arguing with Leo about an emergency lockdown circuit highlighted in red pen. While that appeared unusual, it's just one of the many errands staff carry out on a private plane. Initially, she looked suspicious, but I can strike her out. The trio, Captain Arthur, Dr. Eris, and Lady Riggs, have been close associations for more than 3 decades. Certainly, they won't wash their dirty laundry in front of everyone and play such games on one another, as they have been suspiciously involved with the death of Julian Granger. That leaves the usual suspect, Marcus Shaw. He has been very keen to learn about the trio, poking his nose into their business and taking pictures. He even mentioned the death of Julian and has been everywhere on this flight. It's time to round him up. It was a good play, Marcus. You wanted me to find that diary, didn't you? You wanted a witness with a reputation for truth to validate your revenge.
Elias, you've had too much of the captain's scotch. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just a traveler.
I saw you. In the galley, recording Arthur. In the hallway, photographing the doctor's medical bag. You aren't just a traveler. You're the shadow of 1995. You're Julian Granger's son, come back to collect the debt. The diary. I know you planted it. You're waiting for the descent to open that cargo hatch, aren't you? Give me the recorder. I want to hear the confession you've been forced feeding these people.
You think I'm the son? You think I care about a debt? Look at me. Do I look like I have the stomach for a 31,000-foot execution? My real name is Bernie Katz.
Marcus tosses a leather-bound press ID onto the table. It's for a notorious London tabloid.
I'm not here for Julian. I'm here for Eleanor Riggs. She isn't a lady. She was a waitress in East Ham before she disappeared and re-emerged with a title and a mysterious fortune. I've been chasing this scoop for 3 years.
Then the recording, the photographs.
I was looking for a jewelry hallmark. I wanted to prove that the necklace she wears matches the description of a piece stolen from a private collection. I'm a bottom feeder, Elias, not a murderer.
A sudden sharp thud echoes from the deck below. Not the sound of a falling body, but the sound of a heavy metal lever being thrown.
If you're here for the story, then who is in the galley?
The steward, Leo. He was the one who told me which room the lady was in. He's been very helpful. He even offered to show me the cargo manifest.
The cabin pressure shifts. The air begins to whistle. Elias looks at Marcus's thumb. It's clean. He looks at his own, remembering the dark ink smudge on the steward's hand.
The ink. It wasn't grime, it was the script.
Elias turns and bolts over the cargo stairs, leaving Marcus alone in the amber light, finally realizing he's been the distraction, not the culprit. The iron gall ink is made with an acidic base, often vinegar or wine, and Leo smelled like one. Elias stands by a heavy steel lever. His coat is disheveled. Opposite him, Leo, the steward who has been serving drinks with a polite smile for 6 hours, now holds a flare gun leveled at Elias's chest. In the shadows behind Elias, the 3 survivors, Arthur, Eris, and Eleanor, cower against a stack of vintage luggage.
Put the book down, Mr. Thorne. It's a prop. You said it yourself. It's just ink and paper.
It's more than that, Leo. It's a confession written in the future for a crime committed in the past. You didn't just want to scare them. You wanted them to feel the air getting thin. You wanted them to feel the descent.
I wanted them to remember the sound the hatch made in 1995. My father wasn't a drunk who fell. He was the man who found the Cullinan shard diamond in the rough, and these parasites turned him into a ghost.
It was an accident, boy. The plane hit a pocket of turbulence. The latch was faulty.
Liar! I have the original manifest! You weren't guests on this plane in 95. You were the crew. You killed him, took the stone, and used the insurance money to buy this flying tomb.
Leo, look at the ink on your fingers. Iron gall. It doesn't wash off easily. You spent months perfecting that 1990s cursive. You're a restorer at heart, just like me. You love the truth of old things. Don't end this with a lie.
Leo lunges for the manual override lever for the cargo ramp. The plane groans. A terrifying whistle of rushing air fills the room.
Stop! Reese has it. He's always had it.
Eleanor, shut up.
Open the bag, now, or we all find out how fast a 747 decompresses at this altitude.
Aris slowly opens the leather bag. He pulls out a heavy uncut diamond, the size of a walnut, that refracts the red emergency lights like a bleeding heart.
There it is, the reason Julian died. But look at them, Leo. Look at Arthur's shakes. Look at Eleanor's fear.
It's not enough. They need to fall.
If you pull that lever, you become the thing that killed your father. You become the accident in the logs. Right now, you're the only person on this plane who isn't a ghost. Don't join them.
Leo stares at the lever, then at the diamond, then at the terrified faces of the people who ruined his life. His hand white-knuckles the steel.
My father deserved to see the sun again.
Then take the plane down, not into the ocean, to the tarmac. Let the police be the ones to open the doors this time.
The tension holds for a heartbeat. The plane shudders violently. Leo slowly lowers the flare gun. He sags against the bulkhead, the adrenaline leaving him in a rush. Leo to Arthur.
Get in the cockpit. Land this thing. If we deviate by 1 degree, I'll blow the seals myself.
As the Silver Albatross makes its final approach into Shannon Airport, the sun begins to peek over the horizon. Elias sits in the lounge.
Some stories don't need a tragic ending. They just need to be finished. Leo didn't want to kill them. He wanted to trap them in the sky until they became the people they were in 1995 again. Because at 31,000 feet, you can't run from the person you used to be.
Leo surrendered the flare gun and the forged diary without a word. As the handcuffs clicked, he didn't look like a man who had just committed a hijacking. He looked like a man who had finally put down a heavy suitcase he'd been carrying for 30 years. But here is the jagged edge of the truth. Under the law, Leo is a criminal. He endangered lives, forged documents, and held a private aircraft hostage. In most jurisdictions, his noble motive doesn't erase the felony. He will likely spend years behind bars for a crime that didn't physically harm anyone. And the others? Arthur, Eris, and Eleanor. They are the survivors of 1995. They are also, by their own admission in that pressurized cabin, murderers. But admissions made under the threat of decompression are rarely admissible in court. The diamond is real, but the accident happened in international airspace 3 decades ago. They were already acquitted after the previous inquiry. There is a very real chance that while Leo sits in a cell, the 3 people who killed his father will walk free, their only punishment being the loss of a stone they never truly owned. So, we have to ask ourselves, is justice a set of rules, or is it a feeling? If the legal system can't touch a 30-year-old murder, does a son have the moral right to stage through a theatrical reckoning?
This channel grows based on your feedback, so tell us in the comments what stories you want to see next. To stay in the loop, make sure to like, subscribe, and tap the bell icon for automatic alerts.